When you remember something, you're basically recreating the memory, so that if this memory is linked to fear, and under the influence of MDMA, you can bring back the memory, but the fear response is dampened down. Then when you reconsolidate the memory, it doesn't have that fear to it.
Of all the psychedelics, MDMA is the most gentle. It's the most inherently therapeutic on its own. And then we've chosen post-traumatic stress disorder because the whole population's traumatized.
O MDMA é uma substância que diminui o medo e a ansiedade e aumenta a empatia e a confiança. Os resultados das primeiras pesquisas com pacientes de estresse pós-traumático são verdadeiramente impressionantes. Mais de 80% dos pacientes tratados melhoraram e eram pacientes com traumas até então considerados incuráveis.
This is the place where we do the study, this is where we meet with people, and then this is where we do the MDMA sessions.
Eu tomei MDMA, me pareceu uma substância reveladora de aspectos centrais da afetividade humana. Você de fato tem esse efeito empatogênico de ter amor pelo próximo, o que para o estresse pós-traumático tem tido efeitos extraordinários.
É a oportunidade de a gente poder discutir novas formas de se tratar transtornos mentais utilizando substâncias psicodélicas.
E em cima disso que se justifica uma pesquisa dessa importância, que é o MDMA no consultório.
Realmente eliminar ou diminuir fortemente os sintomas como pesadelos, sofrimentos, angústias das pessoas que passaram por abusos, que passaram por violências. Preciso que as pessoas entendam que esse sofrimento horroroso tem cura.
What you're about to see is something very private, it's very personal. Rachel has agreed to share this. In this video, she's under the effects of MDMA.
Oh, God, that is so healing. Oh, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for starting it. You started that little flame dance.
Oh, my God, it feels so wonderful to be with you right now. I appreciate you sharing
and
with
notice
me.
Who start.
I couldn't understand why these medicines weren't available to people who were suffering. One of the participants in our study said in a letter to Dr. Grobe, for the people they can help, they are a godsend.
Every country and every culture on Earth has at least one visionary plant that they use for altering consciousness.
30.000 a 50.000 usuários religiosos e rituais de ayahuasca no Brasil.
That 80% of the Buddhist teachers in the United States either got a beginning by using psychedelics or had psychedelics early in their practice, which deepened their interest in their practice.
Most people don't understand that MDMA really began as a therapy drug in the middle 70s and early 80s. And then from that, some people realized that they could make a lot of money selling it in more recreational settings and more public settings.
O êxtase foi legal até 1988. Um dos centros do uso do êxtase era Dallas. O êxtase, as pessoas faziam uma festinha e não tinham ressaca no dia seguinte. Os maiores desafios da corrida espacial não é a propulsão do foguete até Marte, mas é conseguir que você ponha lá alguns seres humanos numa pequena caixa confinada, 2, 3 anos. Então eles começaram a pesquisar drogas que aumentem a possibilidade de convivência humana. E daí surgiu o MDMA desses patogênicos.
I was diagnosed to have terminal cancer a few months ago. It has allowed me to open up and have communication with my family that I have never been able to have before.
It's called ecstasy. Now, who doesn't want to take ecstasy?
Ecstasy was popular with everyone from housewives to urban cowboys. It was the party drug of choice.
This is a youth culture that is 50% based on music and 50% based on a drug, period. Repetitive, electronic music sounds wonderful on ecstasy.
Em 88, o MDMA foi mundialmente proibido, o que levou sua imensa popularidade para a ilegalidade e a cena eletrônica para o underground.
MDMA prohibition has created the most adulterated illicit drug market in history. There are literally hundreds of other drugs being sold under the names ecstasy, and most users have no idea what they're getting.
So what we're trying to do is envision a post-prohibition world. And in a post-prohibition world, problems with drugs don't go away. People will still have problems with drugs. But how do we handle them? Can we handle them without arresting and tranquilizing people? And so what we're trying to demonstrate at Burning Man and elsewhere is that we can.
MAPS is a nonprofit psychedelic and medical marijuana pharmaceutical company, supported by thousands of donors, and we are trying to develop MDMA and marijuana, LSD, other drugs into prescription medicines for their medical potential. The principles of psychedelic harm reduction are very similar to the principles of psychedelic psychotherapy, and we've been able to bring psychotherapists and trainees to serve at festivals to help people with difficult trips. We use the harm reduction both to build a post-prohibition world to help a lot of people, and then also to train therapists.
Having these experiences would have a whole cascade of political implications. In the 60s, these political implications were so challenging to the status quo, and that promoted this split in the society. We are not necessarily part of a counterculture anymore, but we are part of enlarging the culture that we're a part of and expanding its potentials.
That has a lot of research behind it. There's a lot of human experience behind it that has proved to be transformationally healing for many people. Why exclude it from the conversation?
We have to focus on diseases for political reasons, but I think we would have a lot more happy people and a lot more successful relationships if people were assisted with MDMA to talk to each other and to acknowledge and listen better. People have shifted from fundamentalism to sort of direct spirituality, and people look at the drug war as one of the worst policies in the history of America. And the rave movement is sort of an antidote to the fact that for many people, the religious rituals that they have just don't work. And so we've had to create our own.
For some people, taking a drug is the only way they're going to notice that it's possible to have a very different experience of the world. Drugs have been indispensable for many people, is in advertising the possibility of a change in consciousness.
How important is this event in your life? And 78% of them said, this is the single most important experience of my entire life.
And this now is a model system for investigating how the human organism is capable of this radical change in perception and behavior.
MDMA definitely gives you a feeling of compassion, love, and okay with it, so it makes the therapy highly effective, I think.
Before the therapy, having PTSD was just a nightmare. The MDMA therapy really was just years packed into a moment.
9% da população de cidades como Rio de Janeiro e São Paulo tem diagnóstico de estresse pós-traumático, e muitos desses milhares de pacientes com traumas incuráveis. Nós já temos a aprovação e autorização do Ministério da Saúde para realizar tratamento com 4 pacientes em 2016. Você pode ajudar a legalizar a terapia psicodélica no Brasil. Participe da nossa campanha, faça sua contribuição. Muito obrigado.